I found this 318 on Craigslist, and my plans for it are to clean it up, paint all the body work, and put a new engine in it. It has an Onan 18 horse now that runs pretty well, but it's due for a tune-up, and since parts for these are pretty tough to find, and it is kind of more fun to have a bigger engine, I'm going to put in a Predator 670, which is the equivalent of the Honda, I believe, 24 horse V-twin that's real popular. But of course the Predator is a little bit less than half the money, so I'm going to take out this Onan and put in the Predator. I've had a 332, my dad has a 322, and I've had a bunch of Cubs, like 782s, that I put Kohler Command 18 horse engines in those before. But this is the first time I've done a swap on a John Deere 300 series. I know there's a lot of information out there, and I'm going to try to do this without buying a kit. I kind of want to do it all myself, so we're going to see how it goes. But yeah, this is the beginning of the project. Obviously, just taking it all in, taking a bunch of pictures so I know how it goes together. And the first things first is start taking it apart and getting it cleaned up. So that'll be this first part of the video, and I'll probably make three whole videos, kind of an introduction, taking it apart and cleaning it, the assembly of the new engine, and then finally I'll do like a third video, which will be like a review how it turned out. Okay, here it goes. So we started taking the tractor apart by pulling off the hood and all of the body parts, and the seat is stuck, but we'll get to that after we pull it off. So we have the metal off of the tractor, and this is the first time I've seen mold growing on a tractor. It's very gross, right, Robbie?
Yeah, but look, it won't die.
It won't start.
Yeah, the lights keep going off and on and off and on.
But this grossness is coming right off.
Yeah, but the lights are going off and on.
Yeah, so the mold is pretty gross, but we managed to work through it. Taking the dash apart here, and my plans are to create my own wire harness. So I'm going to take out this old wire harness, create my own. I'll still use the safeties for the PTO, but I'll probably eliminate the safety in the seat. That one always tends to bother me a little bit. So cut all the wires out with no regard for saving them. I'm just going to start over from scratch again. And here, starting to take out this Onan 18 horse engine. I think a lot of oil leaked out of this because down both frame rails there was a lot of oil sitting. But it still ran, which was surprising. Anyways, the engine is not very light, but it's not more than one person can handle. So I just picked it up and put it over there on the dolly, and then started cleaning it. And this is before I took it to the pressure washer to have it all cleaned up. Well, the tractor cleaned up pretty well. I think enough oil leaked throughout this thing's life that everything cleaned off without too much of a hassle. You can see the majority of the frame is really nice. There are some spots where I'll need to obviously take this apart, which I'm dreading. I know these drums are very difficult to work on, but I'd like to paint that type of spot, paint all these old plated pieces with new cadmium or zinc paint, just so I don't have to worry about rust in the winter, because I do plan on using this for a lot of snow blowing duties. But my thought is to move these radiators from right here to maybe putting one radiator with an oil cooler for the engine back here with a little electric fan on it. You know, John Deere was very clever putting the radiators here because basically all the air in this tractor travels this direction. So it has to go through these these fins. However, with swapping a new engine in, that means I have to be really careful and particular about putting the flywheel shroud up against this firewall to force air through these. But I really don't want to be handcuffed when I put that new engine in, because I want it to be based off where the PTO is supposed to go. So if I were to move those radiators to back here and add an auxiliary oil cooler, that would solve a couple problems. Plus, it would really make this easier to work on, set up the drive shaft in that if these weren't in the way. And it really wouldn't be too tough, because the fittings that the radiator connects to are just compression fittings for this, what is that, 5/16 hose. So that wouldn't be too terrible. The only drawback would be a rear PTO would never be an option with it, because that kit, it grabs onto the splines there on the pump. But I have no need for that. I think the only attachments that use that rear PTO is the bigger MCS and the rear tiller. I really don't have a need for either one, so I might go that route. I thought about, since the gas tank sits here, just putting a radiator right in this area with a fan blowing down maybe. This way the air has a chance to come in and down and go across. We'll see. I think that might be what I try to do. The other option would be laying it flat down by those lines. However, there's not much room. Maybe if I put it right on the bottom part. But then you have to worry about stuff getting up there. So we'll see. Anyways, the tractor's all cleaned up. All the parts are strewn about the garage, and I'll be working on those here in a little bit. So this is where we are on day 2 of this John Deere 318 from Craigslist, Repower, and restoration.